She was just 16, he was 22, and now 3 decades later, her son is finally speaking out, revealing what really happened between his teenage mother and the man he says is his father, Jay-Z. This story has been buried for years, hidden behind sealed court documents, delayed motions, and silence from one of the most powerful celebrities on the planet. But now that silence is cracking. Wanda Satterthwaite's sworn affidavit is public, her son Rymir is pushing back, and the questions, they're louder than ever. And just when you think it can't get worse, it does. Back in the early 90s, Wanda was a 16-year-old living in New Jersey. She says she met Sean Corey Carter, better known today as Jay-Z, through mutual friends. At the time, he was a local rapper, not famous, not a billionaire, just a guy in his early 20s trying to make a name.
I make the feet shuffle, make your hands clap, and we're lounging on Yo MTV Rap.
James Buster freestyle. Check. Here I am, the man. I swing it and sing it and bring it to light of the mic. Again, together forever endeavors to always prevail. Well, whatever the weather, I'm better, you seem the pale in comparison.
Wanda says they had sex, it was consensual, and they used protection. But according to her signed affidavit, the condom broke. She also says she didn't have sexual relations with anyone else during that time. 9 months later, in July of 1993, she gave birth to a baby boy, Rymir. That's the timeline. Wanda was underage, Jay-Z was not, and according to her, he knew how young she was. She didn't try to go public, she didn't file a lawsuit, she didn't go to the media. She raised her son, got sick, and eventually passed away. But before she died, she told Rymir the truth, and that's when the fight began. For more than 10 years, Rymir has been trying to get one simple answer. Is Jay-Z his biological father?
Do you believe wholeheartedly that Jay-Z your father?
I really do. And if it's not, why you can't prove me wrong? Like it's not far as a proving me wrong thing. It's go to the courtroom and basically make sure no other kids or nobody else in the world has to go through this. Basically, don't feel afraid to go to court.
He and his godmother Lily Coley, who raised him after Wanda's health deteriorated, have filed legal motions across multiple courts. Not for money, not for fame.
I don't do interviews just saying, hey Jay-Z, give me your money, or I'm coming at the Jay-Z for his money. I never did that. I'm not that type of person. I work for everything.
Just for a paternity test, a chance to prove what Wanda said was true.
I want to say 2011, it's been 14 years. 14 years of us pursuing, in the beginning, paternity.
And Jay-Z's legal team has blocked every attempt, not by denying the claim directly, but by focusing on jurisdiction, on procedural rules, on legal technicalities. Instead, they say, this court can't decide that. At no point has Jay-Z submitted to a DNA test in any official legal setting, and despite years of filings, no court has ever forced him to take one. Which brings us to the question that keeps circling this entire case. If he's not the father, why not just prove it? Wanda's affidavit is a key part of all this. In her own words, she writes, Sean and I did have protected sex, but the protection broke. I never had sex with anyone else when I became pregnant.
Mama told him. And Wanda wrote an affidavit. The affidavit's been out there all this time.
She also describes the circumstances around the encounter. They weren't strangers. She says they saw each other more than once, that Jay-Z was aware of her age, that he was involved enough to suggest the surname Carter be used when the baby was born, but his name never made it onto the birth certificate. There was no financial support, no acknowledgement, no DNA test. And according to Wanda, Jay-Z simply disappeared from her life.
The legal maze this case went through is honestly exhausting.
Rymir and Lily first filed to compel a DNA test around 2010. That was denied. They tried again in 2011, 2014, 2016, and again in 2023. Each time, they were met with the same response. Wrong court, wrong method, not allowed. It's not the judges were saying the claim was false. They just weren't hearing it. In 2025, things flipped. Jay-Z's lawyers filed a new lawsuit, this time accusing Rymir and Lily of decades-long harassment. They argued that the repeated legal efforts were abusive and that the family was targeting Jay-Z without evidence. But even in that filing, Jay-Z didn't say the one thing that could end this. I'm not the father. But the family says there's more. Wanda's affidavit and several legal motions accuse the courts themselves of helping protect Jay-Z. One claim is especially serious, that in 2012, a judge altered court records to remove Jay-Z's name from an official paternity request. There are also accusations that records were sealed improperly, that hearings were held without notice, that legal clerks were instructed to close the case without fully reviewing the claims.
Going in there, I don't feel like we've been getting our rights really appreciated, so important to deal with.
And in documents submitted in later years, one name keeps showing up again, Beyonce. Wanda's legal team says that letters submitted to the court mention Beyonce as someone who was allegedly aware of the situation, that she may have helped ensure the matter stayed out of public view. None of this has been confirmed in open court, but it's in the filings, it's in the record, and it's raising more questions than answers.
In the world, like a lot of fraud and a lot of collusion that's just been going on and just been looked over was never supposed to happen. Like, and I will not let that pass. I'm not letting the lawyers get away with it.
Rymir has said from the beginning, this isn't about money. He's never asked for financial support. He's not trying to take down Jay-Z's empire. He says all he wants is the truth.
Really coming out here for the truth. I don't want no money or anything. I wasn't looking for none of that. I just want to know the truth. And if I can't go to the courts and get the truth, like, what is it really? Why are you? What is it?
That's what he told the court in a filing. And his godmother, Lily, has echoed that every step of the way. She's paid legal fees out of pocket. She submitted the paperwork. She's been the face of the fight. And here's what hits the hardest. If the roles were reversed, if a regular man was accused of fathering a child with a minor, how long would it take before a test was ordered? But with Jay-Z, it's been 30 years, and still no test. Online, people have started paying attention. Some say Jay-Z is being targeted unfairly, that people want a piece of his wealth, that it's all a media grab. But others are asking a different question. I think Jay is worried that if he takes a DNA test, they'll find out he is 100% that bitch. This case is very real, and I believe that's his father at this point. This man has been fighting for 12 plus years, not even for money, just for a paternity test, and the courts somehow keep dodging it. There are some details that rarely get mentioned in the coverage, but they matter. Wanda never filed for child support. There was no hush money, no NDA, no payout. She didn't go to TMZ, she didn't do interviews.
She never even spoke publicly until her affidavit was released after her death.
Jay-Z has 3 children with Beyonce, all of them known, all of them acknowledged. If Rymir is his son, he would be the eldest. And yet he's been treated like a stranger, like someone who doesn't belong, even though he's not asking for anything but an answer. So where does this go from here? Rymir's team says they're not giving up. They're preparing new legal action, once again asking the courts to unseal the records. They want access to the documents that were sealed without explanation. They want the full scope of Wanda's medical and legal history on the record. And they're still hoping for a judge, just one, who will finally agree that a DNA test is reasonable. But Jay-Z's legal team is still pushing back hard. In their eyes, this is harassment, a never-ending campaign to damage his name. They argue that the case has been settled, dismissed, or procedurally blocked for years, and they want it permanently closed. As for Beyonce, there's been no public comment. Her name was mentioned in some of the sealed documents, but officially she's stayed completely silent. And with most major outlets continuing to avoid the story altogether, it's clear that there's still a protective bubble around this topic. For years it lived in courtrooms, affidavits, and online threads, but rarely in the spotlight. Now, with affidavits made public, legal documents circulating, and public curiosity growing louder, that silence is getting harder to protect. Because at the center of it all is a simple question that still hasn't been answered. Is Jay-Z the biological father of Wanda Satterthwaite? It's not just about legal standing or reputation, it's about a man's identity. It's about a teenage girl who died without closure. And it's about whether truth, even uncomfortable truth, can stand a chance when power is involved. So what do you think? Should Jay-Z be forced to take a DNA test? Yes or no? Drop your answer below, because this one might not be over yet.